Okay. Sorry for the delay here, folks. Just had to get a few things set up. Okay. All right. Welcome to the Rough Report, reporting live from downtown Toronto. Thank you for having us, or thank you for being here with us, rather. Exciting day. We're going to be taking some phone calls. Hopefully, if people decide to call, that's strictly up to them. I can't control that. But yeah, that's what we're potentially looking at doing. So, yeah, looking forward to taking some phone calls today, potentially. I'm going to, expecting the first call in about 7 minutes or so. So if you do want to call in, I mean, first come, first serve. But I'm sort of expecting someone at 20 after. So, just saying. And the calls are going to come through my personal Facebook page, the Jimmy Ruffian page. If you're on Facebook, that's currently my only ability to take phone calls. I don't have a separate, like, actual phone number for this thing yet. So, come on, I'm on a budget here. My Patreon donors are not many, but thank you to those of you who have been donating. So we're going to talk a bit about the U.S. election as well. We're going to be touching on, of course, that. It's the biggest story in the world right now, so how could you not talk about it? Not sure why my camera keeps trying to autofocus like that. That's kind of annoying. Yeah, well, camera isn't the most important part of this thing anyway, right? But you can see my kitty walking in the background there. So yeah, last week talked a bit about some online right-wing figures such as Tim Pool and Steven Crowder, both of whom are fairly, like, it's inherently obvious that they don't know a lot about the things they espouse. And that's basically the main point I was looking to get by when it comes to these people. Like, as collected and calm or as studied as they sometimes tend to come off, once you start to strip things away, like, you know, Tim Pool criticizing critical race theory and then not really having a solid idea of what it actually is, right? That sort of thing. So yeah, we're definitely going to be doing more of that sort of stuff in the future. If you guys are commenting, sorry, I'm not looking at the comments yet, at least on YouTube. Okay. So yeah, leave your questions and comments in text as well. I can see them, and I will respond to you. But also, yeah, if you're on the Jimmy Ruffian Facebook page, you can also put in a phone call. Okay, so let's pull up some stuff about the U.S. election in the meantime while we're waiting for calls to come in. Let's take, I'm sure we've all seen this graphic many times at this point, but we're going to look at it again. Oops. Oh, there we go. So we're looking at still, in terms of at least the seats, 264 to 214. It looks like it's pretty solidly Biden at this point, like, knock on wood, obviously, right? Like, the I guess there's still room for weird stuff to happen. They haven't completely called it yet. Um, the one thing I wanted to start on in terms of commentary about this is everybody saying that they were shocked that the numbers were so close. And I think if you're shocked that the numbers were close, there's perhaps a few things you have not been paying attention to put it bluntly. First of all, it is a known thing for a long time, decades at least, in terms of both American and Canadian voting patterns. And I imagine this is true for many other parts of the world that are, at least culturally similar to us, like Britain or something like that. That when people vote in higher numbers, the Democrats get more of the popular vote. Like de facto, when greater amounts of people vote, they tend to vote for the more liberal or center-left party in these kinds of political structures. Thusly, it is known to the right wing that discouraging voter turnout in numerous ways can be very effective for them. They know for the most part that people who tend to vote liberal or tend to vote left can be discouraged from participating in the vote more than people who tend to vote right. And swing voters are only so many. And if you're running into a situation where you've lost a lot of ground on your swing voters, like Trump surely knows he has, the recourse and the strategy that you go with is to discourage voting. It's as simple as that. And they put a tremendous amount of effort into doing it through propaganda and putting out ideas that, voting for Joe Biden is futile, voting for Joe Biden just in any number of ways isn't going to get you what you want to get. And then on top of that, making it physically difficult for people to vote, closing voting stations, changing the Voting Rights Act, making the mail-in process, seem dubious and fraught. They exercised every political strategy they possibly could to discourage people, specifically people who would vote Democrat, from voting. And it was effective in a number of ways, despite the fact that, a record number of people voted for Biden. It still was effective. And that shouldn't be ignored. But as well as, you also got to consider that America is, a deeply divided country. And I think that's the obvious thing that's on the top of most people's minds when they're looking at that data. That there is very much a lack of consistency in certain types of ideological thought. Certain types. They're very much united on a lot of things. There's plenty of things that we in Canada don't tend to argue about on a massive mainstream scale. Same with the United States. I remember that debate I had on World's Worst Podcast a few weeks back. One of the arguments they were trying to poise was that, America doesn't really have a national identity. They can't really be a nationalist country because they're so divided. And I think that's silly because they're so united on a number of key factors that makes what liberal democracy is as we know it effective. So, yeah, expecting that caller any moment now. Let's see, where is he? Okay. Let's see. If he doesn't call, he doesn't call. Somebody else is welcome to. So, and also taking that in mind, what I just said about the fact that it's people who would vote for the most leftist option available or the most liberal option available that can be most easily discouraged from participating. That's a pattern I've noticed in my personal life for years. All the people in my personal life who are friends, the majority of them, leaning liberal and lefty, like pretty much every single one of them that didn't want to vote and were convinced that it was useless, yeah, they would have voted liberal. They would have voted lefty. That we agree on all the sort of principled, ideological, and material things. But they're just utterly convinced that it doesn't make a difference. And to a large degree, I understand that sense of futility because, like I said, they're so united on so many things that seem impossible to defeat. I can understand that sense of discouragement. As I've seen it quoted before. Actually, now I want to look it up because I don't know who to attribute the quote to, so I don't want to say it without being like, oh, it was said by this person. Let's see if I can get this. Ursula K. Le Guin seems to be the person who says it. We live in capitalism. Its power seems inescapable, and so did the divide right of kings. Any human power can be resisted and changed by human beings. Resistance and change often begin in art, and often in our art, the art of our words. Yeah. That's basically the entire point I'm getting at here. It seems like this stuff that is giving us the biggest problems, the biggest hurdles, is so intrinsic to the structure that it's impossible to decouple it without burning the whole thing down, or it's impossible to decouple it without some manner of great suffering. So much so that it's perhaps not worth it, or too difficult to convince people to participate in that change. That it's too hard to sell. And yeah, mind you, it is. It's a big sell. That's why, in terms of my material analysis, that our movement needs to vote for the best option available all the time. That we need to be strategic about this. That allowing more right-wing ideology to become more mainstream is going to ultimately be bad for us. And we need to put in a bigger amount of effort into making sure that doesn't happen. Because saying, screw it, I'm not going to participate. This doesn't work for me. I'm fed up. Yeah, great. That's all well and good. But, somebody's meowing at me. Quite aggressively at that. It's a very concerned meow. Where is she? I think she's trapped in the bedroom. She just wants me to let her outside. Hey, baby girl, where are you? Where is Marmite? There she is. All right. There's a girl. Say hello to the kitty. She's crashing the show, as she likes to do. Yeah. Now I forgot what I was talking about. Oh, yeah, we need to vote for the best option possible. We need to take every best option possible at every opportunity. We have to stop at every opportunity right-wing and centrist thought from becoming further and further cemented. And in failing to do so, or ignoring or resisting to do so, is nuts. It's not good strategy. It hasn't been working for us for 30 or 40 years. It hasn't been working for us. The Democrats are not being pushed left or being forced to become a better party by you refusing to vote for them. That's not working. And if the alternative was, well, we're going to build our own party, I haven't seen that happen in 30 or 40 years either. Where is it? So if you're ignoring voting and ignoring taking revolutionary action in any capacity and just talking theory online, I don't see what you're doing. I don't get it. And I understand, like, all the frustrations. Like, I've read a lot on this in regards to, indigenous people, especially from their perspective, right? Like liberal democracy to them, yeah, especially as a group of people in this country, Canada. They have every right beyond to feel disenfranchised by the system. And people I would otherwise call, petulant, stubborn brats, I would say they're perhaps the only group that exact terminology wouldn't apply to. Because really, look at it from their perspective, right? Liberal, conservative, they still don't have clean water in Northern Ontario. Doesn't matter. There's a lot of there's lip service after lip service, years and years, decades and decades, hundreds of years of lip service without structural, meaningful change that would make a material difference in their lives. And that's why I argue for voting as harm reduction, because it is a material analysis. For tons and tons of people, it makes a material difference, whether it's a liberal or a conservative that's sitting in power. But there's also tons of people that it doesn't. And for the most part, the people that I'm arguing with, they're on the doesn't side. But even then, for those indigenous people, I would still present the argument that you have to take every strategic opportunity possible, and that to leave a card on the table that can give you any strategic advantage is just silly. That's what it is. It's the easiest thing. Casting your vote to at least make a little bit of an influence. Super easy thing to do. And the more we can keep right-wing people out of power, as much as centrism sucks, I can't see completely erasing conservatism from the mainstream map to be harmful to our movement. And make no mistake, I see an honest-to-goodness, solid leftist kind of utopia structure to take a long time. We're not going to accomplish it overnight. We certainly haven't done it in 40 years, so it's not going to happen tomorrow night. Looks like our friend chickened out. I don't think he's going to call. He was pretty adamant about it. He seemed really gung-ho earlier. So that kind of sucks. I don't know. Do you feel comfortable saying that it's Biden? I don't know if I feel comfortable saying that it's Biden yet. I feel like we're cursing ourselves some sort of way. Yeah, it doesn't even appear. I just had the chat window that I was talking to him earlier today on. It doesn't even appear to be online. Yeah, well. Oh yeah, I might as well mention this because it's funny. Always worth mentioning, especially since it's a political talk show, and today of all days, we have to recognize, a very important event. Remember, the 5th of November, the gunpowder treason and plot. I can't remember the whole thing actually. It's been a while since I've seen V for Vendetta, although that's not where the poem originated from, obviously. Yeah, I'll believe it when it's final. Indeed, I would agree with that. Like I think it's interesting to follow this stuff. I think it's important to look at it and kind of consider the various contexts that these numbers seem to play out like. I think that can, be useful if one is observant of it. But in terms of actually getting you an answer on who's going to win, it's I don't know. It's just too early to say. But yeah, such remembered. So gunpowder. I enjoy V for Vendetta as a movie, by the way. I think it's a pretty neat film, although lacking in certain details. Like, it's a very, like, kind of, it's a simplified plot. The book is a wee bit more complicated, but even Alan Moore has criticisms of the book. Like, as he wrote it in the book, he does, like, he even retrospectively said that he's like, yeah, honestly, I can't really see Britain becoming this sort of, like, really intense totalitarian government, given the circumstances that I laid it out. I probably would have changed that, but still, an interesting concept nonetheless. If you haven't seen it, I recommend it. It's fun and sort of gives you fuzzy, warm political feelings inside without really getting into any ideology, and that's sort of kind of the problem with the film. Oh, come on. Why is my... Here, I'm going to try and restart my camera or something, because it keeps fuzzing out. Oh, that doesn't restart the camera. That just mutes it. Okay, now I'm going to restart it. Deactivate and reactivate. There we go. That seems to be okay for now, at least. Hopefully nothing else happens. But yeah, I think that's a good strategy, Jessica, is to just, I'll believe it when I see it. That's that's how I'd approach it at this point. But, I think it's pretty comfortable saying it's Biden at this point in a lot of ways. Maybe I'm wrong, though. I could be wrong. 4 years ago, my prediction was that, I didn't really give a solid prediction. Everybody was saying, oh, Hillary's got this, but she ran a terrible campaign. There was key points she out and out ignored. And, she very much acted like that this job was already hers and she was entitled to it. That obviously turned a lot of people off. So there's a number of layers of things that happen there, but this is just one of the factors. But I even said back then, I don't know. In that June of 2016, I was like, oh yeah, Hillary's got this. By July, I was like, this isn't this is looking a little weird, guys. And then by August, I was pretty affirmed that Trump has a very real possibility of winning. Most people, through right up to the election day, were so convinced, and their jaws hit the floor that Trump actually won. It really wasn't all that surprising given the factors that you know Hillary Clinton isn't entirely likable for a number of reasons. One of which, because of misogyny. But as much as certain types of media really wanted to pump that as the lead reason, I think she represented everything America was tired of in the establishment. And so does Joe. Don't get me wrong. I think just what mobilized people was just how bad Trump was. I think if Trump was just okay, he could be this outrageous asshole as a person, but in terms of his policy, if he didn't do certain particularly wild out there things, his bad handling of COVID, obviously being huge, children in cages, not a good look, right? Things like that, buddying up to certain dictators, perhaps looked bad in the American consciousness. Unpack that how you will, but I think that's true. Yeah, without those factors, he could have been bad in every other single way, and he'd still represent the kind of anti-establishment bad boy that I think a certain section of America, or a large section of America, was looking for, or at least just so extremely bored and so extremely disinterested in the status quo that's what they turn to. And let's face it, the majority of people, people say, certain countries or certain regions aren't particularly well educated on their country's politics or political ideology and theory in general. I think that's just everybody, to be honest. I don't think my political insights are particularly very good in terms of being super groundbreaking and earth shattering or something that nobody else is going to think of. I mean, thank you for watching my show and everything. I try my best, and I put a tremendous amount of effort into it, but I don't think I'm particularly special in this regard. I think the reason that I do this show and try and reach the audience that I reach is because for the majority, people just aren't very good at this. And I don't mean that as an insult. It's who wants to be good at this? Only weirdos like me want to be good at this. I just feel like I have a certain capacity to do a certain thing, and I try my best to do it. That's it. And if I can help other people kind of expand their knowledge base or think of things a different way, great. I've done my job. That's pretty much the most I can hope for in from doing this, right? And of course, me learning stuff too along the way. Yeah, okay. I think I see him active right now. Let's see if I can poke the bear at him. You gonna call? I miss you. Talk to me, please. Like I said, if any of the other viewers are on Facebook and on the Jimmy Ruffian personal page, yeah, feel free to come check things out. Now, somebody like a friend had presented the thought that if Biden wins and there's some sort of rioting that happens, will the Trump people who so viscerally attacked the BLM protesters for rioting and looting, very much an overblown thing, by the way, will they stick to their own principles in that regard? No. Of course they won't. That's my take on it anyway. If you see any looting or anything crazy like that, they're just going to say, yo, that's what liberals do. That's what the left does. So we're doing it too, whatever. Like I can't think of a sort of ideology, if you will, that cares about hypocrisy less. And in the way that's one of the things I respect most about the particularly American political right is, they do not give a flying shit about hypocrisy. And yeah, I hate almost everything else about them, but I kind of like that. Because again, they know how to win. They know how to get what they want. And I wish just maybe more people on the left or liberal side had that kind of teeth. You know? I mean, of course, not having a real conscience and being unscrupulous and just being focused on, making as much money as you can has a certain effect on the brain. All right. Oh, okay. So we can get into some other news here. Let's see here. So, looks like we are getting a call. All right. Hello there.
Yeah, what's up?
Hey, okay. So we are on with BT, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, very good, very good. So welcome to the show. Thank you for calling.
Thank you.
You've been watching the past couple weeks?
Yeah.
All
In
right.
and out.
In and out. Well, yeah, I can't blame you for not totally paying attention all the time. So, okay, your impressions of the show. What is your takeaway from things so far? Because upon our first interaction, we obviously have some differences.
Yeah.
So,
Um,
how would you describe that?
like your show, what you do.
Well, no, yeah, like just your impression of like I guess the ideology. Like present what your ideology might be. Perhaps is the better way to start that.
Oh well, for you, I just think you're like a statist who covers the news. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I'm more of an anarchist.
More of an anarchist. Okay. Um, and like, so you put it in the dichotomy of statist and anarchist. Like you see those things as diametrically opposed to each other.
Well, not exactly. Like there's like
Mm-hmm.
anarchism where you can have some people who want to be part of the society, and then you have other people who aren't.
Okay, like if you're part of the anarchist society, there's some sort of state structure to that.
Uh, I wouldn't quite call it that. It's more so like just a community. You just work together and do what you do.
Okay,
So
so you work together and do what you do. So like say somebody in this community, is in charge of like growing food, right? You'd have a group of people who would be in charge of that.
if you wanted to do it that way, sure. But if you want to trade, I guess you could do that too.
Want to trade jobs.
Like services, goods for services, or whatever, like barter system.
Okay, but you still have to have people like growing the food for the community, right? Like how do you structure that?
Well, you see, I guess you could still call it a society if that's what you're getting at here, but the difference between my society and your society is my society doesn't use consensus to violate the rights of others.
Use consensus to violate the rights of others. All right, describe that. How does a statist, as you would put it, do that?
Well, let's take this mask thing for example. So, say
Mass
when
thing?
masks were
Sorry,
being
like what's the
initiated,
background of mass? What do you?
like for all this COVID shit.
Oh, like just the massive scale of COVID.
Yeah, the
Oh,
massive
okay,
scale where like 99 point whatever percent survive,
okay.
and all the lies and shit going around with
Mm-hmm.
covering up for excuse me here. Not bad. Um, yeah, I just think that there a lot of the statistics that are out on behalf of like the state are just fabricated with all the false positives on the PCR tests and all that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, it doesn't scare me based on what from what I see and how like influenza is basically non-existent now. So like, how many cases of that were lumped in with that? How many deaths were lumped in with that? Where somebody died from COVID and
Mm-hmm.
they got hit by a fucking bus or something.
Well, I don't believe it's that far. Like, there's a lot of things you
No,
can.
but there's definitely something going on.
Okay, and what do you base that on? Like, what makes you believe that?
Well, for instance, a friend of mine, he went for a test
Mm-hmm.
and he sat around for like 2 hours waiting and he was just like, fuck this. So he just left. And then
Okay.
he gets a call and they're saying that he's got like a positive test. He's like, dude, I didn't even take the test. And then there was that place in Africa
Okay. So
where,
if he never took the test, how did they have his phone number?
well,
Like,
he
how
would
did
have
they have
filled
his
out the form or
personal
whatever
information?
there. I don't really know. I've
Mm-hmm.
never gotten a test, but this is
That
what I
just
hear from my
sounds like
friend.
not very substantial. That's all I'm saying. That seems like a weird thing. Because first of
Okay,
all,
well, you can
they don't call you and tell you over the phone that you have COVID. That's not a
well,
thing.
I don't know where you live. I don't know, like, I'm just going off the top of my head here. Like,
Yeah.
it's kind of just
No,
a story that you
I
hear
can
in the
say
back of
for
your
a
head. But if you
fact.
want like a credible case where you can actually look into a story of somebody sending in something for a sample or whatever and getting a test back for positive, and like they sent a
Mm-hmm.
fucking sample of a fruit,
A sample of a fruit.
yeah, in Africa they sent like a papaya or something, and they got a fucking test back and they said it was positive.
And where was this reported? What medium was this on?
Honestly, I don't really know.
Okay. So
I'm not like big into covering
that
news
doesn't
and
sound
facts.
very.
Like I just see.
Yeah, yeah. Like, that just doesn't sound very substantial. I would have to look into that. But yeah, there is such a thing as false positives. I've seen false positives happen. In fact, one happened to a friend of my partner. But they got back to her in a couple days and let her know that it was a false positive. So when false positives happen, they had a pretty good turnaround time on figuring that out, which is actually incredible when you consider that this is a brand new disease, right? It was just discovered about a year ago. This
And
particular
they can't
strain.
even isolate it with a test, man.
What was that?
They can't even isolate it with the test. Like the PCR test can, it just tells you what, like, you have the symptoms of it. So it's like, okay,
And
that's
okay,
COVID. They're calling everything COVID. So of course the numbers are going to be high,
well,
especially
they're
now
not
when it's COVID
calling
flu
everything
season.
COVID. That's not how those tests work. That's just not what happens. And then as aside from that, they certainly don't just like call you and tell you that you have COVID. There's a little bit of a different process to that. So with all due respect, this just doesn't sound like reality what you're talking about, right? Like what you're basing this in is all sort of hearsay and how it makes you feel based on your personal observations.
Well, how about this? I'll call you back in a few minutes because I know nobody else is going to call. Nobody ever does.
Well,
And
this is the first
I'll
time
come
I've welcomed
to the
calls, so
article,
yeah, I would
and
suspect not a lot of.
we can discuss the article. How about that? If
Um,
you need something from like a source instead of hearsay, how about that?
well, yeah, that's always helpful if you're going to bring information forward to have something to back it up with. That's definitely helpful.
All right, so you want to take a break then, or I
Well,
don't
no,
know.
like we
What's
don't necessarily have to. Like we kind of got off track there. To be
Yeah,
honest.
like honestly, I don't even want to talk about this. This is like totally
Yeah,
unrelated.
yeah. Like we got a little off the beaten path there. That's fine. That's fine. Um, but you were basically like, from what I understand, I think how we ended up here was you were trying to essentially like present the argument that through the general consensus of something, like say a group of people agreeing on a fact, can then affect the lives of others. You kind of think that's fundamentally wrong. Am I putting that correctly?
Yeah, like you can't force somebody to do something without their consent. If you're doing that, then like
Mm-hmm.
you're not doing it in the best interest of anybody. You're doing it in the it's
Okay.
terrible. It's
So,
immoral.
um, so in the sense of, you know, it's general consensus that breathing down someone's neck in public is pretty like it's like harassment, right?
Well, yeah, give somebody their space.
Yeah. Okay. But
Do unto others as you would have done unto you.
right, right. But well, doesn't that violate your consent right there? You're telling somebody that they can't stand close to someone else. Who are you to say that?
Well, I mean, you could be a dick and do it, but then you're just that's called being a dick.
Okay, so it's
Don't
being a
do it.
dick. And what is in the context of you don't have a societal consensus to agree that a certain behavior is wrong? How do you then cease that behavior? If somebody's like, no, this is what I want to do, this is my freedom, I'm going to stand here and be like just really close. And
Well,
that's where I want to be. What are you going to do about it?
I guess at what point does that become an act of violence when somebody's like personally in your space and you've asked them to
Yeah,
stop?
that's a really good question. When does that become an act of violence? Like when does it become an act of violence? I guess you could say when it sort of feels threatening or it's a threat to somebody's safety, right?
Yeah.
So how would you take a disease that we know can be spread by breathing the same air and people refusing to say not wear a mask and stand 6 feet away? Would you then regard that as perhaps threatening behavior?
Not at all. What if that person has a medical condition?
Uh, well, then they probably shouldn't be going outside anywhere. They're under severe threat by this by virtue of having a medical condition. They should probably have other people in their lives helping them.
So I have allergies. I also do welding.
Mm-hmm.
So those two combinations, like, buddy, I go through a roll of fucking toilet paper probably every 4 days of work.
Yep.
I just grab one from the washroom and I blow my fucking nose almost all day because that's what I
Mm-hmm.
gotta do to get by and do what I love to do.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm expected to walk around and wear a fucking mask everywhere I go.
Yes, so you don't
That my
potentially
body
kill other
knows.
people. Yes, that you are
Who am
expected
I
to
gonna
do that.
kill? 0.99%?
Yeah. Okay.
Like, come
So,
on.
there's how many people live in your town?
Probably like 1.3 mil.
1.3 million. Would you like me to do the math on what 1% of 1.3 million people is?
How about you do the math on 0.06%?
I would be glad to do that. So 1.3 million times 0.03. Is that what you said?
Three, I don't really care.
Okay, let's go
Do
with 3.
six, three.
That's 39,000 people.
Yeah.
So you're okay with potentially being a part of 39,000 people coming down with a disease that can potentially not only kill them, but give them symptoms that will follow them for the rest of their lives. Do you feel comfortable with
Yeah.
doing that?
Yeah, man. Like they should have took better care of themselves. I'm not responsible for somebody else's fucking health.
But you just said you had a medical condition. You can't wear a mask because of your job. The job that you chose to do, that you love to do. Why didn't you take better
Yeah,
care of yourself?
because got a vaccine when I was what, almost H1N when my parents took me and I developed fucking allergies, bud.
Yeah.
I was fine up
Who?
until
Why
then.
is that anybody else's problem then?
It's not. I don't expect
But
people
well,
to
now
wear
you're making
masks
it other
around
people's
me.
problems, though. So who are you to
How's
do
that?
that? Do you see the broken circle in your logic here?
Do you see the broken circle in yours?
No, because we're not talking about mine. And going, hey, what about you is actually not a counter argument to this
I'm not
subject
demanding
whatsoever.
anybody. I'm not demanding anybody. I'm looking out for myself first and foremost. If I gotta drive home while I'm going, and then I
Mm-hmm.
fucking rear end somebody because I try not to sneeze and I end up going fucking face first into my steering wheel, busting my face open and dying. Like,
Wow, you
what?
should have been
So
a
I could
better
protect
driver.
others? I
Sounds like
don't
you're making
fucking
your
care.
problems other people's problems.
I'm looking out for me. Like,
You're
if you're afraid of fucking COVID, stay the fuck home. It's not my responsibility. I have a life
then
to
wear a
live.
mask.
Why? It bothers me.
It bothers other people that you don't.
Yeah, I know. I
It
got
puts
harassed by two of them at
Yeah,
fucking
and
Costco
you
the
know
other
what? You
day.
had every right. They had every right. Every right.
Yeah, I know. Now I make sure I carry around a couple of those blue ones, little
As you
disposable
should,
ones, and I
because you know
draw
what,
a
when you
fucking
when you wear one
swastika
of
on them.
those, when you wear one of those to go to a store for 10 minutes, you don't die, right?
Well, I
If
don't wear it, man. Like I just carry them in my pocket, and
Oh,
when
you just carry
somebody
them in your
decides
pocket.
to act like
All
a
right.
fucking Nazi, I pull it
So,
out and tell them to
I
put it on their arm.
at my work the other day, I had a octogenarian walk in, 80 plus years old. She was left with half a lung, had a walker. And you know what
Nice.
she said? I
What?
don't have to wear a mask, but I do anyway because I think it's the right thing to do. And
Good for
you,
her.
being a
I don't.
welder, being a welder, you know who else is a welder? My grandfather. My grandfather, who is also currently dying of lung cancer.
Oh yeah, that's why I'm
You know
really
what he
vested
can
in
do?
that work,
You know what
man.
he can do? Wear a mask.
Yeah.
He has terminal lung cancer. He can wear a mask.
So
So
sucks, man. I'm
your
sorry about that, but
like healthy, young, virile body doing the same job that he did his entire life, you can't wear a mask. And you're saying that
well, that
you
work
can
I do.
subject other people to behavior that you agree is threatening and potentially harmful to their safety. That's a
It's
point
not
you
threatening.
agreed
I'm
on.
not doing anything. I'm living my life. If you want to see me as some type
Okay,
of
you
like a
you
fucking
literally said
virus
though early in
carrier,
this
stay
conversation, like
away from
if
me.
anybody viewing this rewinds it, we can go back just a couple minutes and see that you go, yeah, somebody, potentially doing that in your personal space could be threatening.
Okay, but what is your personal space? Like, I'm sorry, you don't
Oh,
control the
now,
fucking air
now,
that I breathe.
now it's a question of what is personal space. Well, what is personal space indeed? If I have a deadly disease, let's say it's not even COVID. Let's just say it's like something really bad, walking pneumonia of some kind, and I'm just coughing away, and I'm
Yeah,
and I'm around you, and I go, no,
yeah.
I don't need to not be around you. I want to stand next to you. This is where I want to stand.
Well, then
You,
we'll just walk away from you. Why would I stand around you? Like,
oh,
I'm not
but
gonna
I
stick
just
around.
coerced your
Just
behavior.
walk away.
I just coerced your behavior.
So I
So
consented
just
to
wear
it.
a mask.
And
You
if
can
you come
consent to
closer
that.
and you want to follow
You
me
can
and
consent
stick
to
your
wearing a
fucking
mask.
face in my face, I will knock you the fuck out. I don't care.
Oh,
Stay out of
so
my
now
personal space.
so now you can knock
Don't get
somebody
in my
else
way.
out. You can take away their consciousness. You can do that
You
to
took an
another
act of violence
individual.
against me. You got in my personal space. So I
Okay,
knocked you out.
okay. So you
I tried to walk away.
you okay? You get adding more details to the hypothetical conversation there.
Oh, well, we can go back, like you just said. We can go back and you can re-listen because you're having selective hearing right now because I did say before that, by the way. Go back and check.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, you clearly understand that if you got the disease, you could potentially be harmed. You could potentially die. And you agree that putting that threat in someone's personal space is bad and threatening and thusly illegal.
Not really.
Not really?
Not
Oh,
too
do you
concerned
believe
about that,
threats, uttering threats aren't illegal in this country?
Dude, you're asking the wrong person about laws right now.
Well, yeah,
Like,
well, obviously. So you're somebody who has all these ideas about political ideology and facts. You have all these opinions, but the second you're scrutinized on them, it falls apart. Oh, I don't have all these facts. I don't have all this knowledge. What are you talking about? I thought you had a solid
You get
idea.
some shit from fucking mainstream media. That stuff is garbage.
I
That
don't
stuff
watch
rots your
mainstream
fucking
media. I watch,
brain.
small amounts of it because I try and be aware of
Well, there you
everything.
go. I watch
But
none.
obviously, you what? Breitbart? Is that your main news source there?
No, bro.
Oh, yes, it is. That long.
Derek Bro.
No.
Dude,
The Rubin Report is not news, my
I
friend.
can't even.
But the fact, oh, you watch mainstream news. Like, yeah, I watch lots of news. I take in lots of facts. You know what you don't
That's the
have the second you're
news. That
questioned is facts.
programming,
Like you've clearly shown that when you are scrutinized, you do not have the knowledge or the facts to back anything up. So what are these news sources even teaching you? Like, if these news sources are so good, why can't you answer these questions?
I can't. Like,
You can, but you're like, oh, you're asking the wrong person about facts. I thought you had them.
Into this thing. Your facts. I was giving you the fucking beans on the fucking COVID numbers, and you're just straight up trying to deny that shit.
I'm not even denying it. I'm telling you what 1.3 million people in your town. I'm telling you what, by math, that's fucking math. Science, bro. 1.3 million people times 0.03, if that is your supposed infected or, death rate, that still equals 39,000 people. That could fill a stadium. And you're telling me right now that you're okay with that.
Take better care of yourself. Your health is your responsibility.
Yeah, absolutely, it is.
You want to eat burgers every day.
Then you don't go to the hospital. So you don't go to the hospital when you're sick.
No, I don't. I haven't been to the hospital in, I don't know, man. I haven't taken prescription drugs in probably 8 fucking years.
You're an asthmatic and you don't take any prescription drugs?
I have allergies. My nose flares up and I sneeze like a motherfucker. That's what I deal with.
So you just have allergies. You don't even have asthma.
No, I told you I had allergies. Never said asthma.
Oh, okay. I was giving you the benefit of the doubt and saying asthma. Man, you are really weak for not wearing a mask. I can't wear that cloth over my face. My allergies. That is really sad.
I also don't agree with the science behind it. So
oh, you
like,
don't agree with
you
science.
need
Okay.
informed
So, okay.
consent in
That makes
order to
sense.
put
You
a
don't have the
medical
facts when
procedure
you're
on somebody.
scrutinized,
You need
when you're
informed
questioned on
consent.
your
If you
idea.
want to make somebody wear a mask, that's a medical procedure. You need informed consent. I
Hmm.
have seen the science. I
Wearing
have
a
seen
mask is a medical
contradictions
procedure.
to the science that you are putting forward, and they contradict.
A
I'm
medical
siding with the other
procedure.
side. I am not giving informed consent to wear a fucking mask.
I think all that's needed to be said has been said. Just, I think we really hit the nail on the head of the fact that anti-maskers uh, don't agree with science, so they don't have any facts. They only read news sources that agree with their worldview. And then, when questioned on even the most basic tenets of their ideology, they don't have an answer. This has
Is
been
above so
a
below,
very
my
revealing
friend. You
conversation.
are talking to a fucking wall right now. Like, everything that you just said totally applies to your ideology.
Oh, how
Like,
so?
you can
Could you
say what
name
you want
something?
about mine. I don't really care.
Could you name
I'm never
something?
trying to impose my will on somebody. I'm never trying to
Yeah,
do that shit.
you
That's
you
fucking
uh you
immoral
ins-
trash.
in yeah, and you insisting by some weird ideological point of view that you are the king of the universe get to
Never said
infect other
that.
people with a disease. You think you
Oh,
get to
now
do
I'm a
that?
virus carrier
Potentially.
because I
And
don't
you
wear a
definitely wouldn't
mask.
care, like you just admitted earlier in this conversation, you're okay with potentially infecting 39,000 people. So,
No, if you get sick, stay home, and not because it's what you are supposed to do, because it's what you're told. Do it because you need to get better. If you
do
have
you
a
know how
routine
people
that
get
gets you
sick in
better,
the first
make it
place?
better.
Do you like,
Yeah,
do you
it's a
okay.
toxic environment. The terrain theory, you fucking nut. Come on.
Wait, you don't believe in germs. Tell me right now you don't believe in germs.
Oh my god. I see what you're doing here because
No,
you're
no,
trying to
tell
bait
me,
me
tell me.
into
Like,
all this
you just
shit,
said terrain
and
theory,
you're,
which I know all about.
I'm sure
It's
you do.
actually one of the going theories before germ theory was discovered. Uh, so, for the benefit of the audience, I was
All right,
actually
so
going to end
let's
the show,
let's
but this is too
vaccinate
funny.
the fish then, bud. Let's
For the benefit
vaccinate
of
the
our
fish
audience,
instead of pouring shit in their water.
yeah, let's explain, according to you, what uh, what terrain theory is.
No, bro, it's 7:09. I've got a
Oh, it's
I've got
8:09
a
here.
house to keep up.
Okay, I think
So
we hit
yeah,
all the
sorry about
sweet
that. Sorry
spots
about your
that
shitty
that
little
needed to be
apartment
hit,
in
though. I
709.
no, it's fine, it's fine. I
Best of
genuinely,
luck to you. Your show fucking sucks, man. You got like
I
fucking
genuinely
viewers and
appreciate
I
you
do.
calling in. That was excellent. Oh man, that went better than I thought. Your show fucking sucks. Oh my god. He doesn't even believe in germs. Of course. Of course. No, he basically thinks just putting it in the short context that, it's toxic chemicals that are spread around that actually like cause disease. They're like, that's why I got to ask him, like, how do you think diseases are spread? And he's like, oh, it's fucking toxic air, man. Terrain theory, bruh. Holy shit. Like, it's one thing to be a straight up libertarian that tries to dress yourself up as an anarchist. Because let's face it, libertarianism looks fucking nerdy. Anarchism looks cool. So, of course, you want to conflate the two if you're a libertarian. Um, just total science denial up and down. And he's like, you're asking the wrong person about facts. Well, quite succinctly, I couldn't have said it better myself. That was fantastic. And he ended the call right at the point I wanted the show to end. So that was perfect. I would have gone more into the terrain theory thing though, because that would have been just hilarious. Merle, if you're not watching right now, shout out to Merle because she's gonna love this. Yeah, and you know what? I fully admit my show does suck. I barely have a show here, but I think it's a lot of fun, and it's getting better all the time. I only just started doing it this year as a LARF, and I think it's going pretty good. So I'm having a good time. So yeah, let's wrap this. Let's wrap this thing up. Gotta have the theme music. Of course, everyone's favorite. Hit the wrong button. Antifa Duck, the queen and leader of Antifa. Or the king, whatever you want to say. The royalty, if we're going with the appropriate non-gendered phrasing. I'm just like, I like it anytime he got cornered. It's like, I'm like, well, what you're saying doesn't make any sense. So, well, your ideology doesn't make any sense. It's like, we're not even talking about mine. I haven't even said anything about that. It just says it all in so many ways. That was lovely. So thank you so much, BT, for calling in. I hope more people call in the future, whether they want to have a debate or just have questions or concerns or things they want to see discussed. I would love to see that in the future. Again, thank you so much for tuning into the Rough Report. Like, subscribe, share. Check out the Rough Go on Patreon. There's going to be some updates on there. And, of course, November 11th, which is in less than a week from now, a new song is dropping from the Rough Go, Selvage. Some of you might have heard it when I kind of like stuck it out there as a demo a little while back for a limited time. But its official release is November 11th, and I'm very excited about it. So yeah, I think I plugged everything I needed to plug there. I need a drink.